Yay! Okay, hello everyone. We are live here
Hi.
today with Hello Ghosty. Thank you for joining us here
Very
today.
spooky.
Thank you for joining us here today. Ghosty is one of my oldest YouTube friends. I think literally for I want to say 2 years, but then I realized
Yeah,
2020
that
was like
feels about
4 years
right.
ago. Yeah.
It feels longer than that.
I know it's been such a blur, and I know everything's been chaotic for both of us for sure, but we're
Yeah.
definitely going to get into it. But Ghosty is an artist, a makeup artist, and a content creator who posts content on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And do you have any other avenues where you post content too?
I do have an art page. I am trying to be more consistent on. It is on Instagram. It is called Creatively Ghosty, and that's where I post all my art content. I have been for the longest time thinking of a storyline for a comic that has to deal with telling the story of my life in a more artistic fantasy route.
I love that. That is amazing. And if anyone out there is looking for some spooky, cute art, definitely check out Hello Ghosty's
Yep.
page. Do you ever do like commissions, or is that something you would
I
ever be
do. I
interested in?
just did a
Oh,
commission recently. I still need to post it on my art Instagram. But I do commissions. I don't charge as much right now because I'm still getting customers and everything. I do $35 for portrait and 50 for like full body. It's a good way to make extra money.
definitely. Okay, I didn't even know that. So that's really good to know
Yeah.
for the future. And then before we get into our first official question, I just want to say hello to Save Here First. Save Here First name is Ella. Hello, Ella. Welcome. Uh,
Hi.
Ella is a reseller, so she sells things on her YouTube channel and off her YouTube channel. She has such a variety of items that she sells, but most importantly, she just has like really good vibes. So definitely worth checking Ella out and following Save Here First.
I will have to
Okay,
check them out. That sounds right up my alley.
yes, and you know, I was thinking like resellers are basically online thrifters because
Yeah.
sometimes I think about thrifting and I'm like, wait a minute, you can also thrift online, which is awesome.
I'd love we have
Okay.
a thrift store right up the road from me.
Oh, nice. Okay, so the fact that you're into art, makeup, spooky stuff, what did you get into first and how did you get into it?
So, my introduction into the realm of things that were different didn't start with spooky things. It started with kawaii things and the world of magical girl anime. I was very into Tokyo Mew Mew, Winx Club. The fashion in those shows really inspired me growing up, and that's how I started kind of getting more into like the weirder things. I got into anime from that. Inuyasha was my first like real in-depth anime that I really got into after getting introduced to those two. And then as the years go on, I got more attached to Halloween because it is the time of year where you get to dress up and be yourself. And I thought it was so cool. I had so much fun being creative with it. And the love for that just kind of sprinkled into me getting into the more spooky stuff because I was like, oh my gosh, there's goth music. There's a whole entire subculture that's just like spooky vibes. Let me eat that right up.
Awesome. And how old were you when you said you were starting to get really into Halloween?
When I started to get like really into Halloween, I think the most pivotal year was when I was like 8 years old. I remember we did a Musa from Winx Club Halloween costume, and we just put it together from various things we found around the costume store because it wasn't a super well known thing when we first got into it. You would think Winx Club was, but it wasn't. And then that the more horror aspect of it didn't come till I was like 22.
That's so interesting. I love how anime was sort of your gateway to wanting to dress up, and then because of that, you got into Halloween. So that's a really
Yeah.
interesting pathway. So when did you start getting into creating art?
I've been drawing since we were 8 years old, and it has always been a way of escapism for me. I always would draw my own original characters and depictions. I would make them have little stories that was kind of helping me express myself in my childhood. So And then I gave up on it for a really long time until I got into high school. I was in art class and I got to be in advanced art. It was one of the things that I was really proud of, and the artist in me just never died, I guess.
That's awesome. So that definitely came before the makeup
Yes,
artistry.
it did. And the makeup art, just kind of the artist skills kind of tie into that because I do these big, very cartoon eyes that actually, if you look at my art page, they look exactly like the art I draw.
Definitely, I love it. I love how you're able to have pretty much the same style in art as your makeup, and it's fairly unique. Like, I don't really see what you do pretty much anywhere else, honestly.
Yeah, that's something I very high, hold myself in high regards of doing that, and that every little thing that I do holds a little aspect of me. It's very aesthetic to me. You see that and you're like, that is ghosty.
Absolutely. You definitely have, like, your own, like, look, and I don't wanna say the word, like, branded look, but, because it's, like, such corporate,
Yeah.
terminology, but yeah, you definitely have your own look for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, fast forward a little bit, I guess. When did you decide that you wanted to first make a YouTube channel?
Oh, I've had so many YouTube channels that will take us all the way back. So I was in high school and my original it's funny how I started on YouTube. My original dream as a creator was to be a singer. So I posted these covers. A few of them are still up. Oh my gosh, and they are so cringe, but I was convinced myself I was going to be on American Idol, so I started doing covers. And then I got into the cosplay community around like 16, 17, and I started making, that's when I got into the weird makeup at all. And I would post makeup tutorials and like cosplay blogs. And I kept doing YouTube, but then something would happen in my life where I felt like things were crumbling apart and I would give up because I was like, why am I even convincing myself that I could do this if all of this is going on? And I've had more than, this is I think my 11th channel.
I can definitely relate to that because I've had like 10 channels as well for a lot of the same reasons. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Something I think a lot of people who want to do YouTube or maybe even other types of creative outlets struggle with, which is just like balancing life, especially if your life is full of chaos and it's just like one thing after another. You're like, how can I justify carving out time for this thing that I enjoy doing, you know? So that was something that you struggled with since your very first channel?
Yes, for me it was more so just I would have people around me make me feel bad, make me feel selfish. And this has been since childhood. Before I got into YouTube, it's like people would make me feel selfish for having big dreams, for thinking big, dreaming big. So I habit of really shutting down and staying small when I am this big person. I do have this magnetic energy and these talents, but I will shove myself into this little box and it's become a repeating pattern in my life.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And everyone around you is like telling you to be small and then you do shrink yourself, like sometimes even without wanting to. It just
Yeah,
kind of
it just
happens.
happens and then you catch yourself and it's like,
Yeah.
why did I do that?
Yeah. So your first, because it sounds like from a very early age you had a lot of interests.
Yeah.
So was your first big dream to be a singer?
Yes, it was because of the show Hannah Montana. I was a big Disney Channel kid, and that show. I'm also a very quirky Southern girl. I am from South Carolina. You can hear it in my voice. I got that country accent comes through sometimes. um Seeing a quirky country girl on the television show where she had an ordinary life and she had her pop star life was so impactful to me growing up because I saw myself as, oh, I'm this ordinary girl, but my life could be this. And that ignited a little hope in my inner child's soul that never went away. And then you
I
of course
love
had
that.
shows like American Idol, where you saw these people that were different get their dreams.
Absolutely. I love that. I love how you saw so many direct parallels between yourself and Hannah Montana and how that
Yeah.
inspired you to dream.
That's what I do with every single piece of media I partake in. I end up seeing myself in some shape or form.
Awesome. And so, your current YouTube channel that you have now, I mean, you do a lot. Like, I think in one of your most recent videos, one of your most recent videos, you said something like, "We're starting another series,"
Yes.
for all the different types of series that you have. For anyone watching who might be introduced to you for the first time, how would you describe, your different series or, like, just off the top of your head? Um
So we have a lot of different series, but I can place them in the categories very easily. We have our newest series, which is the media that shaped us, which is this huge nostalgia project that we are working on that goes into things like Disney Channel and media that we partaked in as a kid and ties it back into that personal way that I did with like the Hannah Montana everything. We're looking at everything from a personal perspective view on how it actually impacted us. Then we have the Land of Ghosties. I think it's story time in the land of Ghosty, something in the land of Ghosty. That is my vlog slash story time series where I let people in, I let them see the authentic me and my life and the things I'm actually struggling with. Then we have Ghosty's Fashion Corner, which is all my fashion. I have a very unique style. And then we have Spooky Babe Beauty. Now I do have a series that I'm on the fence of how it's going to work because the first video didn't do well, but I also started a new dream analysis series that my wonderful boyfriend inspired because I also have some really wacky dreams and I wake up in the middle of the night and I tell him and he's like, you need to make this a series.
That's awesome. That's so funny. He's like, "You need to document this somewhere."
Yeah.
I don't blame you though, because I also have really wild, vivid dreams. And when you wake up, I feel like two things. One, it's like this feeling of, okay, I didn't just sleep. I was just like existing in another dimension and now I came back. And
Yes, that.
yeah. And like, do you feel tired? Like, do you even feel rested when you wake up for those dreams?
No, I don't.
Me either. Okay, so it's a real thing. And then the other thing is with all the wildness, a lot of times there's so much symbolism. You're like,
Yep.
what does this mean? You know, does this mean something?
Exactly. And I also am somebody that has had very prophetic dreams in my life because I do have those spiritual gifts. So I try to pick it apart in that way too. Like, where is the hitting meaning of all this?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Missy, by the way, Missy is here with us in the chat as well. So
Hi.
thank you. Thank you for joining us. If you're not familiar with Hello Ghosty, Ghosty's links are there in the chat for Instagram and YouTube. So we're just talking more about Ghosty's content. Um, so do you, if you want to share, no pressure to share, but
Mhm.
do you remember any specific dreams right now that were prophetic that you would be open to share, like the symbolism? If
Oh,
not, that's okay.
okay. This one is going to be really weird because it lines up with what something that is going on in social media that is I've been kind of like looking back on this in my brain and I've been like, how did I predict this? The release of Gypsy Rose.
Oh, really?
Years and years ago, summer of 2021, I was doing a lot of card readings because I was dealing with a lot of stuff with my own healing from abuse journey. And that is the first time I started sharing my story and kind of everything exploded. And I started having these dreams of somebody on all these talk shows and things. At first, I thought it was me, but now I'm like having all these deja vu moments anytime she is being interviewed. And I'm like, the way I look at that now, the fact that I had all these visions, dreams of her doing that and like witnessing all this stuff. The way I feel about that now is my brain is telling me that something pivotal in my journey ties to whatever is going on right now. Something in my timeline is also aligning with that. Because I do have a very intense story of that kind of a parent controlling your every whim and will kind of thing going on with me. So for all that to come back at the moment with her being in the media and me remembering that I had those dreams, it's just like,
Wow, that's really, really interesting. Um, well, we'll definitely be looking forward to more of that series, of yours and see
It's
if
been a
any
struggle
more
to keep
dots are
making them, but
connected.
I do have plans to be more open and continue.
Awesome. I also enjoy dream interpretation, so I will definitely be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Um, so again, you have various platforms. Is YouTube your main platform or is it
I
TikTok
would
or
say all of them are. I'm
okay, all
so
of
consistent everywhere that it's hard to be like, which one is my main? Because they all get the utmost attention.
okay, awesome. I guess then in that case, what are I guess what do you like about each platform? I guess that's the best way to ask it.
So with TikTok, I love that I could pick a lot of my favorite music and lip sync. I do Hannah Montana songs all the time. I did an ABBA song today because I love ABBA. I love all kinds of music. I love TikTok because the people that get on there are just being their most creative selves. The cosplayers on there are like goals, and it's like fun to see people actually bring like originality to characters and things. With Instagram, it's a little all over the place lately. I don't know. I've been feeling like Instagram is kind of out of it. I like posting my pictures on there, but I feel like the engagement is really off. And because it's also, I just tie that in with Facebook because it's the same. You just kind of reshare your Instagram on that. It feels like people aren't in there to have like really like friendships and relationships because when I get like fans or when I follow people, I want you to comment back to me. I don't want it to be just shallow. I don't want to be adding people and looks for friendships and all they care about is the likes and the numbers. I feel like Instagram and Facebook has really become that. On TikTok, you could still make these really fun relationships. And with YouTube, I love long form content. I love having the ability to make really long videos talking about whatever I want to. When I was a kid, I was always like, I'm gonna have my own show, and now I'm like, hey, I'm kind of doing that with the power of YouTube. So that's really special to me, and so YouTube is definitely my most favorite because there's so much more freedom there, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, and you're so right. That's one of the best things I also love about social media is like you don't have to, get a budget from some big production company. If you can find a way to make your own show, make your own series, you can do it. If you,
Exactly.
yeah, if you want to be, a makeup artist, you can share that. If you want to be even like a model, you can like model for yourself. Like you don't have to go down these traditional avenues anymore. So I
Exactly.
also definitely like that about social media. Missy said social media is a strange thing, to be honest. Yeah, it really is
It
strange and
is. It is a
awesome.
strange world at times.
Yeah, I know everything. I think. Do you remember the world before social media, or was that already kind of like a thing when you were
Oh,
a
that
kid?
was it was kind of already a thing, but as a kid, it was more. I'm gonna go on all the virtual worlds and talk to people.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So it has changed a
Mhm.
lot, but I've always been kind of since I could have a Facebook. I've been like selfie here, selfie there. So I've always documented my life in that way.
Awesome. Yeah, and then even like you said, I think in the last 10 years, Instagram has changed so
Yeah.
much. The vibe is totally different on Instagram now.
I feel like TikTok's just more chill. That's like my favorite. Like you're gonna post outside of YouTube. Yeah, post a TikTok. I'd be dancing my little heart out there. It's fun.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Awesome. So when it comes to YouTube, since we're on YouTube right now,
Yes.
um, what has been the best part about YouTube specifically for you?
Being heard. I feel like that's where it really hits special and home to me. Growing a community of people that listen to me, that see me, that accept me in all my quirkiness and weirdness. It's given me this wonderful outlet of self expression and freedom.
I love that. There's definitely something to being able to speak your truth, especially I know you touched a little bit on like growing up, you were very controlled and were dealing with all types of form of abuse. And so it's like being able to speak your truth when you grew up feeling like you were gaslit or like not able to speak your truth or people wouldn't believe you or didn't allow you to or acknowledge. Definitely awesome to like just have a space where you can be heard. Does it make a difference for you? Like, for example, hypothetically, if you were able to like tell your story and like post it to a video that like didn't get any watches, is there still something therapeutic about like
There
saying it out
is.
loud?
It is very therapeutic because it's like my own therapy. It's like I'm saying these things and it feels like this form of release. It feels like I'm taking all this weight off my shoulder because I've kept these things hidden for so long. You have the song by Melanie Martinez, Dollhouse. I feel like that was very much my life. It looks perfect on the outside, but don't look through the curtains. And that's kind of how my family was. So in my everyday life outside of social media, I do feel like I have to wear a mask and I have to keep so much internalized and continue to people please. So to be able to just release that somewhere helps so much. I don't think I would survive without it, to be honest. I'd be kind of losing my mind over stress.
I don't blame you. And thank you for sharing that and affirming that. That definitely makes sense. And then, does it add any other aspect of healing when you do have people engaging and watching with
It
what you're
does.
sharing?
It does. One of the things that I've actually cried at a couple comments, to be
Mhm.
honest, before, the fact that people do comment and they're like, oh, I've also been through that and I feel like I'm being seen. I didn't know other people went through this. Or I've had people, this is one that really brings me to, had people that have followed me from every channel. They're like, I have watched the entire saga of this. You are remarkable and resilient. It's like I get reaffirmed these things that I need to hear, that I am strong and I am resilient and I am somebody that can continue to face these things. And it's like I'm growing. A lot of my subscribers, I have become friends with them and they have become some of the most, like you, I have become the, we met through YouTube and that's been one of the most special things. I've had other friends I've met through YouTube that where there's this bond because we share some of the same overlapping stories. It's been really beautiful.
Awesome. Yes, I totally agree. And it's like you find people who genuinely, because you're able to actually be open and because you're actually able to speak your truth, it's like you're finding people who are connecting with like the real you versus like you said in the outside world sometimes it's like not necessarily the full you because you feel like you can't speak your truth. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
totally relate to that. And oh, Missy said what content do they make? I think they were just asking what content you make or maybe in reference to your YouTube channel.
Oh, I make fashion videos, story times about my life. I make videos now about media that I like Disney Channel and things, makeup. I'm just kind of doing it all, but it all. In the beginning of this interview, we were talking about how I make everything very me, so it doesn't matter what I do. I'm able to bring a twist of ghosty into it.
Absolutely. Uh okay, absolutely. And Missy said I said they because unsure of pronouns, but they are your pronouns, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
prefer not to be gendered. I am gender fluid, so depending, I'm just always fluctuating, so it's just so much easier to be not gendered.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you for thinking about that, Missy, in your
Yes,
comment
dude,
as
thank
well.
you. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just assume.
Right. Okay, so thank you for being open about that and everything as well. Um, so in terms of YouTube, you kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, but talking about like the most positive aspects and it being such a healing outlet and a fun outlet, kind of like all of that wrapped into one. What have been the challenges with YouTube, if any?
The biggest challenges have been my personal life and then YouTube. It feels like I'm walking. I said this in a video that I haven't uploaded yet, but it feels like I'm walking between two different realities. There's the one where I'm doing my YouTube things and I feel like a very different person, but then you have the one where I'm still very much around the people that I talk about in my story times. I'm around these people that are constantly influencing me, and there's this part of me that is very like reverting to past old self and stuff. So that has been the most struggling thing to navigate is personal life with the YouTube, because it's like, when am I going too far? But also, I want to be like taking back my power, like all that stuff. But that has been really hard to navigate. It's also been hard to navigate my workaholic tendencies, because I have caught myself doing this recently, uploading more than 3 times a week, every single day. Sometimes it becomes a addiction for me, because I'm like, I gotta post something because I feel more put together when I'm being productive. So that has all been really hard to navigate and find a good balance.
That's all very real and relatable, and even without the external challenges of, like, dealing with, uh, the family and, other people, who make it difficult to be yourself and do the things you wanna do. I think that's all stuff that, a lot of YouTubers struggle with too, is, like, where do you find that balance between, like,
Yeah,
you
you
know
had Matt Pat. He quit. The guy that does game theory quit recently, and one of the things that he said in his video was, "I don't feel like I have a real life anymore." That's one of the
That's
things people
interesting.
don't recognize about being a creator, is it does become your life. It does, and it becomes very hard to find a disconnect from what is YouTube and what is life.
Totally, right, I know, it's so weird, and then what's, like, virtual life versus, like, in real life, and where's the line?
And
Like
now a lot of us are living very isolated lives. I live a very
Mhm.
isolated lives. I don't get to live in my apartment because I can't afford it. And I'm inside every day. It's like pandemic all the time for me. And because a lot of us have dealt with that isolation, there does become this moment where you're warped into the social media.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely agree. And Missy said, "Off topic, but, both of your makeup looks amazing." Oh, thank you.
No, thank
Yeah.
you.
I did mine in, like, a super rush. I was like, "Oh,
It
thank
still
you."
looks good. Also, I need the link to your hair because
Oh, thank you. I think I got this one on Amazon, honestly. I
that's
could
where I shop. You gotta find it and send
Okay,
it to me.
yeah. What
Because
about
I'm
you?
digging the
I love
color.
yours too.
This is from Amazon too.
Okay, oh, there we go. Get your wigs on Amazon, everyone.
For real, cheap wigs. You can make them look good.
Yeah, I actually wore this one out recently to like goth night, and when I first got there, everyone was like, "Oh, I love your hair." Like they thought it was real, so I was like,
I love when people
"Hmm."
say that. It's the best compliment, but I always go, it's a wig. But I say it while smiling.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure what you all are seeing out there. Okay, there we go. We
Okay, there
froze
we
a
go.
bit.
It's got back.
Yeah. But you were saying, oh, that's the biggest compliment when people
Yeah, when they think it's real, you're like, oh, I made this look real. Thank you.
I know. Yeah, same. I just need to figure out, like, how there's, like, I guess, official way to install a wig with, like, the glue and, like, all that
Oh,
stuff.
that's so complicated.
I've never figured out how to do that, and
Me
so
either. Me
yeah,
either. You good. Me either.
okay. Because last time my wig literally started falling off my head in public, so, I
Oh
mean, whatever, it is
no.
a
Well, this
wig, you
one
know
has
what I
like
mean? But
clips, but after a while, they be stabbing your skull.
yeah, or they're just, like, not strong enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Missy asked, "What is your natural hair color?"
My natural hair color is dark brown, but I always like dye it. So
Same. Yeah, mine's also, not I don't even know if it's, like, dark brown, it's, like, in between, it kind of has some natural, like, reddish so it's, like, in between dark and light brown, but
yeah.
I've always felt and there's nothing wrong with that, like, all shades of hair are beautiful and, everyone can look good in different shades of hair, but I've always felt like being alternative, like, brown was, like, the least alternative color
I
of
mean,
hair.
same.
That's how
I
I've
know what you
always felt.
mean.
So I'm like I always, like, even go to, like, dye black, which is, like, easier.
Yeah,
It's I
mine is
think the
black at
easiest
the
one.
moment. I haven't
Okay.
dyed like dark
Yeah.
blackish blue at the moment, but I never had my hair out.
Yeah. I know, right? 'Cause the wigs are fun.
They
But
are.
yeah.
I'm like, what hair color do I want today? Oh, natural hair. Damn, that's boring.
Yeah, nothing wrong with having a natural brown hair, but I think a lot of alternative people I've met have struggled with the feeling like, "I feel like this is the least alternative hair color out there."
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So you dyed your hair dark brown. What is your natural hair color? Awesome. I do think it looks beautiful. Um, see. We talked a bit about your biggest challenges on YouTube or some of the challenges on YouTube. And then you did mention, struggling with your personal life. And as a person with a disability or maybe several disabilities, I'm not sure. Do you feel
Several.
comfortable sharing? Okay. Do you feel
Yeah, I do
comfortable
feel
sharing?
comfortable sharing. I'm an open
Oh,
book. I've started to talk about it a bit on my YouTube channel, so it's not like it's not information that's out there. So I started off my finding out what's not wrong with me, but what mental illnesses I have. I hate wording it like that. Has been a really bumpy journey. So when I was in middle school, around sixth grade, I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. If you don't know what schizophrenia is, you hallucinate, you have a lot of delusional thinking and very manic racing thoughts. Your moods can be a lot of all over the place because of it too, and you have very paranoid manic attacks. And then I also had what the school just deemed as a learning disability, but later on I found out that I do have autism. My mom just didn't tell me. Um, so I do have that going on as well. And then November of 2022, I got the reality bomb dropped on me that it was not just schizophrenia, why I heard voices all the time, that I have dissociative identity disorder. One of my biggest fears with doing this interview was actually if I was going to be able to stay grounded enough not to become super switchy. If you don't know what dissociative identity disorder is, you basically have a system of alters that were all fragmented parts of the brain that were formed due to very intense, repetitive childhood trauma. They were basically all formed to help us survive everything. And that has been in itself also a struggle when it comes to YouTube that I am learning that, yeah, it's hard.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing. And I can imagine because there's aspects to doing, YouTube or creating art while struggling to survive that are hard anyway, but then you add anything um else into the mix and it gets significantly harder.
It
But
gets kind of confusing for me as well because you have so many different alters in my system that hold so many different interests as well. Maybe this is why I do so much of a variety of things. There you have different mannerisms that show up. Sometimes when I'm filming my YouTube, I start dissociating, and it becomes really. It's not noticeable unless you know what you're looking for. But when I'm editing, I can notice everything, and it does become this very. You kind of put yourself under a microscope, and I do blame social media for that. I don't, even though I am being open about it and I am being open about switches now and things, and I'm trying to find a self acceptance, I don't like how much TikTok has made DID a spectacle. Because it does feel like you have to overthink everything you do just existing with the disorder, because you do have people that do fake it and make fun of us by doing it. But you don't want to fake claim anybody at the same time, because if you've had it done to you, it doesn't feel good.
totally. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really hard. That is wild. That's something I didn't even like really think about in terms of just like people faking it. And that's happening with a lot of different disabilities on TikTok, right? Like I know people were doing it with like Tourette's
Yeah.
and yeah, wow. That's really messed up. Um well, thank you for sharing that.
It's
Uh
created this environment to where people that do have these disorders, if they are following any big dreams like this or TikTok or anything, we do get projected on us that we're not allowed to do that because we're using our illnesses for attention, when that's not the case. We're just existing with said illness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then like you said earlier, when you share your experiences, it helps other people who are also going through the same thing. And I've been on the other end of that. When I see people sharing something that I can relate to, it's helpful because it's like, okay, you're not alone. But then when people use that against you, yeah, that kind of just makes people not want to share when it's actually helpful for so many people who
Yeah.
can relate. So, yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot of complications, but you're doing it. So,
Trying
I'm
to. Sometimes it is
yeah.
nerve-wracking, but you kind of just have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you realize that it's not that scary.
Oh. Well, that's awesome that you do continue to do this, for yourself, for other people as well, who can relate. And I wanted to ask you a question as well, and any question I ask if you don't want to answer, obviously feel free to say, feel free not to answer. Um, but before that, is there anything that I can do to like support you, you know, to in case something does happen, or if there is a switch, or what would
Um,
be the best way to support you with that?
so most of the time they do want to be known by their name, or they usually say it because it starts to show, and then they themselves get insecure. We do get very disoriented, so if I ever don't even, sometimes it happens and I don't even notice it, if it ever looks like I am trying to play a game of catch up, it's because it is very disorienting. The most thing I say people could do to support somebody that does have DID when you're actively talking to them is be patient, be calm, and be accepting. One of the hardest things has been when somebody has come to the front and somebody will be like, oh, it's not Ghosty, or oh, I didn't sign up for that. And it does hurt.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, and thank you for sharing that as well. Um, thank you, Missy, also for your kind comments. Missy said that must be hard. You're doing great in talking about it, um, and it's hard being online. You'll receive a lot of judgment, so respect to both of you. Oh, thank you for your kind comments.
Yes, thank
And
you. It really means a lot.
so, have your disabilities impacted your dreams at any point in time, and if so, how?
They've impacted my entire life. I'm on SSI disability and I hate it. I've had all these really big dreams and I can't even leave my house half the time because of debilitating anxiety. Um, I have a lot of setbacks. I'm not doing everything I want to do in my life. The only freedom I have right now is I can try and make things happen through a screen, but I don't get to live life like other people. I don't get to drive. I don't get to do things. I don't get to enjoy going to a job every day. People really disregard how lucky they are to be able to work. It might seem boring and mundane because you do it all the time, but you're getting out and having a life, and you see people every day and you're not alone in your apartment speaking into the black mirror, speaking into the phone every single day. So it has led to a lot of isolation. And one of my biggest dreams when I was younger was I'm going to have a lot of friends. I don't have any real life friends. People get so scared when they see it happening in front of them, when they see it face to face, and they realize, oh, they really are mentally ill, and they run. So it has taken a lot from me. I don't feel like I'm able to live as quality of a life as I would have hoped for myself.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is so profound, and I feel like obviously with each mental health, I don't know what to call it honestly, like mental health condition, issue. I never know what word to say after mental
I just
health,
say
like
mental illness.
mental okay.
Yeah.
Regardless of the type of mental illness, or all different types of mental illness are obviously going to have like different challenges, but I really related to you on that when you said that, people like accept you to a point, and then after a point they're like, "Oh, you know, this is real." Like you're not just, not
Yeah.
that you would be making it up, but it's almost like the way I say it is like, well, because like I guess one of my main mental health uh illnesses is depression, like chronic, pretty much consistent depression. Um and it's like, people say it's okay to not be okay until you're not okay enough to do the things they want you to do, and then all of a sudden you're a problem, right? It's like it's okay
Yeah.
to not be okay until. So that really resonated with me when you said that. So thank you for
The
sharing
big
that 'cause that's
problem we
real.
all share collectively of having mental illness, because it's not like a lot of people use the excuse as you're not physically
Yeah.
disabled, get out. And I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that.
I hate that too, because like, they really truly do not get it. Because if they did, they wouldn't be saying that,
Yeah.
like, seriously. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that, that definitely resonated. Um, so I know you mentioned before that you feel like a quote unquote "late bloomer." What are the main things that have made you feel that way, and is that something that you identify with? Or if so, is it positively, negatively, or neutral?
So being a late bloomer, I'm about to be at 28 next month. I have not done most things that 28 years have done. I've never worked a job. I've only now just had the opportunity to kind of try to follow my dreams. I just feel really behind everybody else my age. You have people that are married that have kids, and I don't even know if that's something that is possible for me to ever even have come true. And you have all these people that can drive, and they've been driving for a long time at that age. I'll never be able to drive. It's a very negative thing that I do struggle with. It's like I'm not putting myself in competition with other people. It's that I'm hyper aware that I didn't get the tools that other people did because they had good, I guess you would say, a good structure, a good settlement growing up. They didn't, so I didn't have that. So I feel very, very behind. Even when I was in school, it took me until 21 to graduate. I've always been behind everybody, even when back then. It's not just something that I've been experiencing in my adulthood.
Got you. Yeah, and especially with social media now, or even in person, I could see how and why you would compare yourself to other people. But do you feel like maybe like the negative aspects of what you're feeling, do you feel like it's external internalized, or do you feel like it's like other people's like expectation internalized, or your own
I
feelings
think
about it?
some of it is people's expectations internalized. My dad had a lot of expectations of me growing up, and that's where it comes from. His idealistic view is you have to be successful and make a lot of money to get somewhere in life. And I would constantly be shamed for my learning disabilities and setbacks. And he told people that I had the mentality of a 12-year-old when I was 17. Things like that. I also have a very internalized euphemism where I infantilize myself because I am very childlike, but I really struggle to see myself as an adult.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I that's so hard because it's not like I'm gonna sit here and tell you how to feel, but
Yeah.
it's hard when you see other people like compare, like watching you compare yourself to like these milestones, but it's like number one, I think you're doing amazing, but number two, it's like I mean, like you said, you were diagnosed with like schizophrenia when you were 6 years old, right?
No,
I
I got
mean,
diagnosed with schizophrenia when I was in sixth
oh,
grade.
sixth grade, sixth grade.
Yeah. But
That's
I did
still
have
really
fun with a
young.
6-year-old that went missed.
Yeah. But that's still really young, and so you're dealing with things that a lot of other people don't deal with, and so overcoming things and, you know,
Yeah, I was
that
constantly in the mental hospital and at doctors. I missed school so much.
yeah. That is something to deal with, so in your own way, you have, gone through a lot, and that I'm not trying to say this to like change how like you feel about
Yeah.
your situations, but just to say like if there's any aspect of it that's you being hard on yourself due to like external voices or even your own comparisons, like the people you're comparing yourselves to haven't had to overcome the things that you've had to, you know?
You're very right, you're very right,
Yeah.
and it's I need to remember that more. Sometimes it's hard, because it is a very different card dealt in life.
Yeah, and then and I don't wanna project, but just from my own experience, I think what makes it hard 'cause I feel like I struggle with that a little bit, in different ways, obviously, but I'll compare myself to other people, and it's like, "Well, why am I not more like that?" Or, "Why haven't I been more successful in this area?" And then I think about everything I've had to overcome, but what makes it hard is, like, the gaslighting of my family. It's like my reality, people don't even think my reality is my reality, you know what
Same,
I mean?
I
So
get that.
yeah, so it makes it even harder because then you're kinda judging yourself from the lenses of what you think other people think your reality is when it's so, so different. So,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot to overcome, but, I really appreciate you sharing because, like, again, the more we share our truths and realities, the more other people who might resonate
exactly,
can yeah,
exactly.
I think that's really important. Missy said, "To be fair, at a certain age, there's an expectation but some people just aren't the stereotype." Yeah, definitely, and I think even that, our idea of, like, what's normal, like, if you took everyone, like, literally in your age group, there's just
What is
such a
normal?
yeah, exactly, there's just such a, like,
What's it say?
wide
What's normal to the spider is chaos for the fly.
yeah, exactly. And what if they were the same age? I mean, it's like totally different experiences. Um Yeah, and Missy said there's no shame in that. Wise words. And no one will ever see the world like you do through your own eyes, and that can be very tough. So true.
Yes, very
So
true, and
true.
when you have something where you have, like, a mental illness that gives you a really vivid imagination, ain't nobody gonna understand my brain. But I think that's why it's so fun to also share too, because I do got a wacky way of thinking sometimes. And I'm like, but I found that it's also kind of beautiful and unique and special in its own way. A lot of people lose
Definitely.
their imaginations and whimsical thinking. I never lost that. Oh no, the audio cut out. The audio cut
Hello.
out for a
Oh,
minute.
oh,
You're
can you
good
hear me?
now. You're good
Okay,
now.
okay. Okay, good. We're navigating through the technical difficulties. So speaking of navigating, how are you navigating still telling your life story? So I guess just like for a little background, or do you want to talk about how your family, for the background, how your family found your social media recently and how that's impacted you?
That is a whole chaotic mess. So I saw my sister back in Thanksgiving. I guess she's being a little puppet. I guess that's what you would call it. Because she's been the kind of in between person. And she took me, we acted like we were having a good day. She took me shopping and things. And she sits me down at this park that's near my house. She goes, "You're extremely effed up in the head for saying the things you say about that, for saying the things you're being open with." And she was like, "How would you feel if I got on my social media?" And I was like, "You made me want to literally just not be here anymore when I was a kid. How would that make you feel?" And then it became this um constant stress for me because I was supposed to move down there in July of this year. She kept kind of shaming me for what I was doing, but then also, when I was struggling with my mental health, and I'd be like open, like, "Hey, I had this really bad breakdown. This and this happened." She'd be like, "I'll pull the help away. I don't want to help you if you're having that." And it turned into this kind of stressor. And then around Christmas time, she texted me and she goes, "Dad wants to see you. It's been literally 4 years." And I'm like, I have to hear this every single time he is in town. I'm tired of it. And I caved. And honestly, worst mistake I could have made on the bumpy ride that I am on. Things went well when he came to visit, but he acted completely oblivious about watching my channel, but also was really interested and kept poking me to talk about my channel. So it's kind of this weird in between. And there was a while where I privated all those videos. I was like, No, I felt awkward about it. I have a very fond people's pleasing response. And then um I started having a lot of flashbacks and stuff because of the whole Gypsy Rose stuff. It was very triggering to me at first. And I got in this attitude where I was like, the hell with it. What am I doing? I'm not being myself anymore. Because me talking and sharing things like that has become such an authentic part of my development as a person and who I am. And I started unprivating everything. I just got in this attitude of like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And whatever happens, happens. I have to trust that I am divinely protected because I have gone through nonstop just these people being in control of my life. And then before then, my ex was in control of my life. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm about to be 28. I'm so done with this crap. So there's becomes a time in your life where you're like, who is staying silent for? Whose peace is it really keeping? And that's the point that I reach.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good point to reach. I mean, it's hard. It's hard in different ways.
And it's scary, especially when you're
Yeah,
in a situation with me where now my sister has pulled out and she shoved me on my parents. So I am now relying on both my dad and my mom for financial support. And could things explode? Yeah, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I'll figure it out. It came to the point of you have to be willing to risk things sometimes to be able to not feel like you are being put back in those chains.
definitely. And especially once you sort of release yourself from them mentally, it's like really hard to make yourself go back there.
Stop making myself small. Like I talked about, I gotta stop making
Hmm.
myself small.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, do you mind if I ask, because you mentioned uh that your dad was like trying to poke you and prod you to like talk about your channel? Like, what was he saying? Like, how could you tell that,
Oh
he
my
was
gosh,
trying to
it
get
was
you to
so
talk about it?
awkward when you saw me. I got real awkward. Well, first he
Oh
comes
no.
over and he's like, "Oh, where do you film your videos over there?" Oh, so professional. He doinked my light, like he flicked my box light, and he's like, "Oh, it's really professional." And he was like, and then he brought me stuff from my childhood to make videos on. Now, did I make a video on it? Yeah, because it was Disney Channel stuff. But still, he's like, "Look what I found. You can make a video on this and this." And it was just
Y-
like, and he was like, "So what do you make videos about?" And I had to awkwardly be like, fashion, makeup, um, cosplay.
Wait, so
And it's
that
like I felt like I was lying, but I wasn't lying. I just
yeah,
was
no.
like, how am I supposed to tell him that? Because a lot of the story times I've been told by my sister that he's watching them and
Ugh.
supposedly threatening her and coming at her. And I'm like, what? That's not smart.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for all that. When you shared that that was happening, it honestly made me like angry. Like I was extremely angry because it's like just to me it's just like such an invasion. I mean, yes, it's public, but it's like not for you. Not for like specific
It's my
people.
life path. It's
Yeah.
my voice, and they keep trying to shove it away from me. This isn't the
Yeah.
first time they silenced me. When I was about to move here and I was in Texas, I had videos already up talking about all of this that went completely deleted because my grandma calls me and says, "You need." This is what she said. She was like, "You need to delete any videos that have to do with the family because it's going to make you look bad to the renters. Like everybody can see that." You need to take them down or I'm not helping you.
And
And
how
when
would
I
the
first got here, nobody in my actual family wanted me to stay with them. So they put me in a hotel and nobody came to visit me. How that's just the kind of things that I'm dealing with.
yeah. And then how would the renters even see your videos unless they were showing
This is
them
the
to them?
thing. They see me as having a very innocent mind, very easily manipulate and believe what they're telling me, but at some point I'll be like, wait a minute, that don't sound right.
Good. I'm glad. No, I'm glad because it does take work. Like I feel like I'm myself just peeling back layers of like the gaslighting. It's
Yeah.
like more layers because you gaslight yourself after a while and
And
you really
then you
yeah.
like talking to them again and you pick up on it and it gives you the ick. You're like, ugh.
Absolutely, to say the least, to say the least. So, thank you for the background. So how are you navigating still telling your life story, despite your parents and everyone from your past watching you and knowing that?
I'm being a badass, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, I've gotten this. I've been going through this like rebirth lately of this new energy where I'm like, I'm gonna turn on the camera and I'm doing it anyway. And that feels amazing. It's just like pushing myself. It is like the most exhilarating thing I have ever done. It's like they think that they're making me stop, but what they're doing is they're lighting a fire. It's making me do it more than ever and be more transparent than ever. I'll be in my bed just journaling, just things I want to talk about. And I've even been like, I want to talk about some good things that they made me feel embarrassed about that I did.
That is so real. Oh my gosh. Whole oh my gosh. Like the mental gymnastics you have to do sometimes just to like get yourself back to a baseline because other people have tried to make you feel bad about good things or make you feel bad about nothing
Yeah, it kind
or
of makes you go on
uh,
this roller coaster. You start to lose
mhm.
yourself, but then you're like, then you have the wait a minute. And then you have the no, let's get back on track. Let's realign.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And it takes work to get to that point, right?
Yeah,
Like
it
wasn't there a
takes
time when you
overcoming a lot.
yeah, because was there a point in time when you wouldn't have even been able to pinpoint what was out of alignment? Like you said, get back in alignment, this doesn't
Um,
seem right.
I guess the time with my ex feels like I don't remember half of it now. Like my brain literally said, but there was a lot of times there where I just felt very all over the place, and I wasn't sure was it, what was and what wasn't. There was a time like directly after the breakup where I just was, where did reality go? And those are the times where it's fine. It's a hard time to be like, okay, who is being wrong here and who's being right?
Definitely. And that sparks the seed to
Yeah.
start questioning these things, which is awesome. Um, so you have overcome a lot of difficult situations in life and have had to redirect different, several times. So what is your current vision of a fulfilling life for yourself for the near or distant future?
So right now, I am just trying to survive through dealing with my family and still having to rely on them. I'm trying to do that as long as I can. But in the future, I would love to live with my boyfriend. We have talked about having a place together, and they love Halloween as much as me. We have very similar interests, and that would be where I would be happy, just to be with him and then be able to travel a lot. I want to be able to be in a place where I can experience life. I never get out, and being in that situation now where I don't get to leave my house, it makes me miss when I did, despite my really bad anxiety. I would love to have a more eventful life. I would love for my career to really take off and prove to people that have these disabilities that they can make something out of their life. So many times when you grow up with a disability, you're told that you'll never do anything, but many people with disabilities have the most beautiful minds. They really do. The way you think is so special and unique, and people need to realize that it's a gift. So, doing something with my career, having Ghosty meetups someday, really having my community be in person and be able to see people, be able to go to conventions, just do all the things that make me really happy to have that freedom. Because right now I don't. I'm very restricted, and I do have really bad breakdowns a lot of the time because I don't know how long this part of my journey is going to last.
Well, we're definitely putting it out there into the universe for you,
Yep.
like all the things. Yes.
Good things.
Absolutely. Because you deserve them. You really do. So what advice do you have for other artists and creators out there who might resonate with your experiences?
Just because someone in your life has told you repeatedly that you can't, Tell yourself you can. Get your ass up and do it. Keep pushing. Don't give up. As many times as you give up, start over. It's okay to start over and have new directions, but keep going at it. I've had so many eras where I've come right back to the same dream. If your soul keeps pulling you right back to the same vision, it's meant for you. Stop kidding yourself.
Absolutely, I love that. Definitely follow what's in your spirit and your soul, and thank you so much. Seriously, I can't believe that it's been, like, an hour already, like, the
Right?
time went by so fast, but I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview and for sharing everything that you shared, about art and your creative process, but also especially about, like, your mental health, because yeah, it is, like, for all the reasons that we talked about.
Yeah,
Um, it's just good for people to know that they're not alone. So the fact that
it
you share
is.
that is amazing, seriously. So thank you so much, and,
Thank
we'll definitely
you.
yeah, we'll definitely be talking again in the future, and I'll be seeing
Yes.
you around on your videos.
Yep.
And until next time, is there anything, you wanna share with, anyone who might be watching later about what to expect or, um
Well, the most exciting content I have coming up is in February. I'm going to be going to see my boyfriend. So, to anybody who's
Oh!
curious about what's going on in the ghosty land of love,
Yeah.
there'll be a vlog of me doing his makeup and y'all getting to meet him. So, I'm
Oh my
excited about
gosh.
that.
Yes, that is so exciting, and, that's the name of the new series, The Ghosty Land of
Oh
Love.
my gosh. I need to, you know what? I might do that now.
I love it. Alright,
Use
well,
like a
awesome.
weird rom com intro. I don't know.
That would honestly be amazing.
Right.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, I'm definitely looking forward to that and everything else, and I will see you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Okay.